Introduction to Zhutian Congxin Record. I'm not very good at writing introductions, but I want to write about a journey of people from the heart. Write about the changes in the stars in the main world, and then watch the other worlds write. Chapter 1. Rebirth of the Qin Family. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Congratulations to the prince. Congratulations to the prince. The queen has just given birth to twins, a soldier dressed in iron armor shouted outside the conference hall of the Zhendong prince's mansion. Qin De, the prince of Zhendong, who had been nervous all night due to his wife's childbirth, suddenly stood up and woke up the children lying on the side chairs. Feng, Zheng, wake up quickly. Your mother has given birth, he said. Mother gave birth. The slightly older child huddled in the chair on the left suddenly jumped up and stood on the chair, shouting excitedly. Have you given birth? Is it a younger brother or a younger sister? In contrast, the slightly weaker child on the other side is much more stable, although his tone carries excitement, it is not so exaggerated. Is it time to ask this now? Qin De briskly walked towards the soldier who was reporting the message. How is the queen's health? The soldiers watched as Qin De walked over and bowed to him, saying, the queen and the two young princes, mother and son, are safe. It's just that the queen is a bit weak, and now she has gone to bed after her mother-in-law has cleaned up. The two young princes have also been tidied up by the maids and are at the nurse's place arranged by the prince. Good, good, everyone has rewards. Come, come. Where is the butler? Qin De was so excited that his internal strength did not converge. With the blessing of his innate great internal strength, Qin De's voice spread throughout the entire Zhendong prince's mansion. Prince. I'm here. A figure rushed out of a corner with a mysterious footwork and a speed that was difficult for ordinary people to reach. He was also an innate expert. Okay, go ahead and give orders. Today, all the soldiers and servants in the mansion will be rewarded with silver, 3 taels of silver per person. Qin De explained and hurriedly followed the soldiers who reported the news to the backyard with his 2 sons. Qin Xian felt particularly unlucky. In his previous life, he was a good civil servant who worked 9 to 5 every day and sometimes called for overtime accordingly. Although he had passed the year and did not have a wife, he decided to be satisfied with his lack of a significant other. Not only does he have a house and a car, but his parents are also healthy. Even his grandparents are in their 90s and have a healthy body, so there is no need for him to worry. He lives a carefree life on weekdays and can even travel to other places on vacation. Although he may not be a winner in life, he is still considered a successful person. As a result, while he and a few colleagues were in a group to relax in Kunlun Mountain, he accidentally stepped on a stone on the edge of the cliff and fell off, bidding farewell to the world from then on. When Qin Xian regained consciousness again, he found himself in a novel he had read before. Covering the Sky. The story of a protagonist who, under the planning of a brother, controlled the emperor, became the new emperor. At the time of writing, Qin Xiankai was in high school, in the late stage of his second illness. He admired those divine phrases such as, who is the peak at the end of the immortal road? The way becomes emptiness at first sight. My void emperor is not weaker than humans. I kept thinking about whether he could also cultivate himself, and even took advantage of the end of the college entrance examination to go to Manghuang Mountain to seek enlightenment. 3 days later, a high-ranking scholar in Manghuang Mountain was annoyed by him and casually threw him a copy of the Tao Te Ching. I told him, all the great ways are in books. So I took out my own pocket and sent him back home. The funniest thing about Qin is that he flipped through the Tao Te Ching dozens of times, almost flipping it back and forth without finding any abnormalities. After using various physical and chemical methods such as fire tests and water bubbles, he couldn't find any differences in the book. Naturally, in the end, the book turned into black ash in the fire. This dark history was hidden deep in his heart, not even his parents knew, until he arrived at Covering the Sky, and his soul pierced into an ordinary disciple of the Shaking Light Holy Land. It was not until then that Qin Xian realized that the Tao Te Ching was truly useful, comparable to a great emperor's scripture. However, it was true that there was also a mythological story about a Tao Te Ching in the world of covering the sky. After all, that Tao Te Ching's emperor's scripture was also the Tao Te Ching. In the original world, there was no extraordinary power, and the Tao Te Ching was naturally just a philosophical masterpiece. However, in this era where the corpse of the Tao Te Ching, Laozi, the deity of morality, was still prominent, the existence of the Tao Te Ching was naturally no less than that of an imperial scripture. Qin Xian, who held the imperial scriptures, believed himself to be the son of fate. However, although he was the son of fate, Qin Xian, who had read the book, Covering the Sky, and knew how deep the water in this world was, still suppressed his loneliness and diligently practiced in the holy land of Shaking Light. Finally, 50 years later, Yi Fan broke through the Sendai realm the year before arriving at the Beidou by taking a 9-dragon's coffin. In the era of the end of the Dharma when the Tao was not visible, what a natural talent it was to break through the realm of Sendai within 50 years. Although such talent cannot be called emperor, the foundation of becoming a saint and a holy land in the end is still good. So Qin Xian's newly elevated holy weapon gifted by the Shaking Light Holy Lord walked out of the door, claiming to be looking for opportunities. The first stop when going out is naturally Yuan Tian book. Xinyuan is the strongest currency in the world of covering the sky, and even many fairy materials can be purchased with Xinyuan. And the Yuan Tian book is naturally the best way for the poor to become rich, and there is no other way to find a book garden at www.zhaozhuyuan.com. It's also wonderful to say that Qin Xian put in a lot of effort to design many encounters and gained the trust of Zhang Wuye. Finally, he put on the divine garment made by Ren Yuan Tian, and only found out after entering Purple Mountain that the garment was actually fake. After only walking 30 miles into Purple Mountain, relying on that holy weapon, he was slapped away by a revived saint-level ancient creature. Although some holy soldiers did not die under their protection, they also fell into the interior of Purple Mountain, next to a certain Donghuang divine king, and finally swallowed their breath by his side. Before his death, he seemed to have seen Zhang Wuye mocking him after he left, as if saying, "You and the little bunny really thought I didn't know that those coincidences were designed by you. How could you have met 26 bandits in a month and been saved by you every time? Do you really think I'm a fool?" Before his death, Qin Xian met the divine king and had a heart-to-heart conversation with him. After reflecting on his lifelong mistakes, he realized that when dealing with people, one must exchange sincerity for sincerity. Is there anything wrong with wanting to become stronger? Of course not, but his methods are ultimately not bright. Compared to the same period last year, although Yi Haizi's heart was black, it was enough to be called a clear conscience. Before Qin Xian's death, he suddenly regretted going down what mountain to find what opportunity. What's wrong with Yi Haizi leading the heavenly court to break through the realm and become an immortal in the Shaking Light Holy Land? With Holy Land resources, it's not a problem to cultivate a saint with his qualifications, waiting for Yi Haizi to establish himself in the heavenly court and then fly together. What's wrong with that? Why at this point, Qin Xian Kai understood what the path of inaction in the Tao Te Ching was, go. If you want to live for a long time, you have to sacrifice your life. So, 1 second before his death, Qin Xian beheaded the Tao and became the king. 1 second after his execution, 55 of the beheading kings sat down on the spot. This scene was seen by the nearby divine king, who couldn't help but sigh. Chapter 2. Qin Family Childhood. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Qin Xian regained his senses again, he was already lying in an extremely dark environment. Although his physical body and cultivation were not there, the realm of the King of Slaying Tao was still there, comparable to the soul of the King of Slaying Tao, and his spiritual consciousness was naturally there as well. Although I don't know how I traveled through rebirth, being able to live another life is also a good thing. Feeling the innate aura around him, Qin Xian realized that he was still in his mother's womb. Feeling the small life not far from him, Qin Xian smiled slightly and unconsciously carried his Tao Te Ching around him, attracting the innate aura to wash his own flesh and his brother's flesh. You should know that in any world, the innate energy born in the mother and fetus before birth is precious. Even this innate qi should not be called innate qi, but should be called mixed yuan innate ancestral qi, also known as mixed yuan innate qi. Because the state of the baby in the mother and fetus is like Pangu nurturing in chaos, it feels the most mysterious, and it is the existence of this mixed element innate ancestral energy that enlightens the spirituality of the living beings. In Covering the Sky, the constitution that can fully retain this innate energy in the body is called the congenital Tao fetus. Although it cannot be on par with the great emperor like the holy body after completion, it can still remain unbeaten in the hands of the great emperor. After all, human reproduction comes from the union of men and women. After the union of men and women, the two energies of yin and yang circulate in the female body, and finally combine into one, which is the so-called mixed element innate ancestral energy. After all, the mixed element is divided into yin and yang. The innate yin and yang can synthesize chaotic qi, and it is not surprising that the fusion of yin and yang in the human body can form innate qi. The reason why Hunyuan's innate aura is precious naturally lies in its ability to inspire spiritual creation. Therefore, the innate Tao fetus can combine with any type of constitution to give birth to a stronger constitution. To be honest, if it were not for the innate Tao fetus's strength, it would probably have become the cauldron of many cultivators long ago. After practicing for an unknown amount of time, Qin Xian finally felt a push. Just as he wanted to search for the innate energy of the Hunyuan before he was born, his brother had already slipped out along the exit. By a stroke of thought, Qin Xian, who was in his 80s and almost 100 years old, had become his younger brother. 6 years later, Qin Xian and his little brother sat in a quiet courtyard in the residence of the Prince of Zhendong. Prince of Zhendong, Qinda, dressed in green clothes, held a little boy and sat on a stone bench. There was a little boy sitting next to Qinda, who was about the same age as the boy in his arms. It was Qin Xian. 12 people stood in front of the three, exuding a majestic aura. Surprisingly, they were all born strong at the peak of their lives, and even one of the elderly and one of the beautiful women were born strong. "Father, what are you asking so many teachers to come over for?" Qin Yu asked the little boy sitting on Qinda's lap, who was Qin Xian's third brother in this lifetime. At first, when he heard that he was born into the Qin family, he didn't pay much attention. It wasn't until the names of Yanjing City, Zhendong Prince's mansion, and even Qin Yu appeared in his ears that Qin Xian couldn't help but believe that he had come to another terrifying world called Star Transformation. Although it is much stronger than the world in which true immortals can drown in the deep water of Covering the Sky, the world in Star Transformation is more dangerous in Qin Xian's eyes than Covering the Sky. After all, after being monopolized by the Emperor of Wilderness for eternity, almost all the immortal kings in Covering the Sky have lost contact with the 9 heavens and 10 earths. In Star Transformation, there are still 2 supreme beings, the great power of heaven and earth, Hongmeng and Linmeng, the 2 creation gods. In the world they have created, these 2 are almost omniscient and omnipotent. Although they do not know which one is stronger compared to an existence at the level of the immortal emperor, neither of them is stronger than him. In the eyes of Thank You existence, he is now just an ant. After waiting anxiously in the Qin mansion for 6 years and nothing happened, Qin Xian finally confirmed that those 2 probably didn't take him seriously or wanted to cultivate him. After all, these 2 were the most temperamental giants in all novels. The Ruthless Emperor. Not to mention, the existence of the Silent Sword sect. Alas, not to mention, the Shura Sea God. Or even. Not to mention, compared to these 2 idle and quick bird-walking gods, they are indeed the most kind. When it comes to Qinda, it's hard not to mention their mother. Originally, Qin Xian wanted to save his mother's life, but at the moment when he was about to take action, he felt immense pressure. That kind of pressure, like a world running over him, although it didn't cause any damage to him, it also forced him to stop. This world has destiny. Rather than saying that this world is supreme to Hong Meng and Lin Meng, then what is above them must be fate. Even after Lin Meng became the controller of Hong Meng, he could not interfere with the fate of his wife, family, friends, brothers, and even enemies. Otherwise, his wife and brothers would have been the heavenly sovereigns in his world. How could they have been silent and unknown? Therefore, since their mother's death, Qin Xian has also been in a state of salted fish. Although he struggled to be severely damaged by fate to snatch out his mother's soul and seek help from Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, under the suppression of fate, unless Qin Yu was promoted to the position of Hongmeng controller, he could use the power of the Hongmeng Golden List to block the power of fate for a few quarters of an hour. Otherwise, not to mention reviving his mother, even Qin Xian himself would be in danger. After all, Qin Yu's future achievements are indescribable, and Qin Yu's initial motivation for cultivation was the death of his mother. If his mother were to be resurrected, it would affect Qin Yu's growth. Such causality would be beyond Lin Meng's ability to bear. Not to mention Qin Xian, who is just like an ant entering the realm of immortality. According to Qin Xian's own division, he estimated that the 4 levels of the Luanhai realm correspond to the 3 levels of acquired, innate, and golden pills. In the future, the Dao Palace, for extremes, and dragon transformation should correspond to the Yuaning period, Dong Su period, Kongming period, Dujia period, and Deqing period. The first 3 levels of Sendai correspond to the half-step great ability, and slaying the Dao King, which corresponds to the heavenly immortal 9 levels. The Sage King, the Great Sage corresponds to the golden immortal 9 levels, and the Quasi-Emperor 9 levels correspond to the Xian Immortal, which is the Immortal Emperor 9 levels. The Great Emperor and even the Heavenly Emperor correspond to gods and humans, the True Immortal corresponds to the Heavenly God, the Quasi-Immortal King, the Immortal King, and the Immortal King Giant should correspond to the Divine King, the Holy Emperor, and the Heavenly Sovereign. As for the controller of Hongmeng, they should be the Immortal Emperor. Although they have different focuses, they should have no difference in their realm. However, Qin Xian was only the king of slaying Dao at his strongest. How could he possibly know the power of the existence above? This is just his speculation. Now, after 6 years of cultivation, with the blessing of the mixed elemental innate ancestral energy he condensed, and with his physique comparable to that of an innate Dao fetus and his previous life's cultivation experience, he has already reached the peak of the dragon transformation secret realm within 6 years. It is comparable to the peak of Mahayana, but this speed is also considered normal. After all, for Qin Xian, this is not so much cultivation as recovery. Chapter 3. Salted Fish Qin Xian. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Of course, the rapid recovery of cultivation is also due to the perfect power of rules in this world, as well as the spiritual energy that contains a lot of longevity material. A golden core cultivator who is only comparable to the realm of the wheel sea can live for 1,000 years, and after reaching Mahayana, their lifespan is even more endless. If those ancient supreme beings in Covering the Sky knew about this, they would probably be able to transform into prototypes and treat Lin Meng as a pet for the sake of longevity. Those people's obsession with lifespan. Let's not say it. In Qin Xian's eyes, this world is like a huge elixir of immortality. Just take a breath and you can live an extra 300 years. 300 years. How many people will certain supreme beings kill for a lifespan of 300 years? Speaking of which, Qin De looked at his 3rd son, who was lively on his legs, and then at his 4th son, who seemed bored and yawned, with a hint of helplessness in his eyes. The 3rd son was born with a ruptured dantian, unable to gather qi, and the 4th son was born with blocked meridians that could not be unblocked. He finally received some spiritual energy but his meridians were broken. At the moment of Qin Xuanlin's birth, he absorbed too much of the mixed Yuan innate ancestral qi, which accumulated in his veins. His talent was not refined yet, resulting in blocked meridians. In addition, Qin Xian was crushed by fate in order to regain his mother's soul, and his body's meridians were somewhat broken. When Feng Yuzi was dredging his meridians for him, he was discovered, which frightened Feng Yuzi into thinking that his spiritual power had broken Qin Xian's meridians. Although the result is 1/2 pound and 8 taels, both of them cannot be cultivated. However, compared to Qin Yu, his meridians are relatively smooth. In this lifetime, he may still be able to earn some external skills. Although he cannot achieve immortality, he can enjoy happiness in the world and protect himself from being bullied. Just Xiaoxi. Sai, although Yuer knew she couldn't cultivate, she still worked hard for it, while Xiener had already given up on herself. Looking at these 12 strong individuals who have taught the 3rd and 4th students before, one can tell from their expressions. Looking at the 3rd student can be considered regretful at least, while looking at the 4th student can be a complete sigh. It's okay, Qin decided in his heart and said, you two can't practice martial arts and are unwilling to learn the art of political strategy. It's okay, my Qin family can still protect you. Qin Yu didn't understand Qinda's words, and his eyes were still confused. Qin Xian didn't pay any attention and yawned, drowsy. Suddenly, a crane crowing sounded, and a handsome middle-aged man with a fairy-like demeanor landed in the courtyard riding a white crane. This middle-aged man was Qinda's good friend, the immortal worship of the Zhendong prince's mansion, and the golden elixir cultivator Feng Yuzi. Upon seeing the visitor, Qinda urgently asked, Brother Feng, have you found a solution to the problem with Yuer Dantian and Xiener's meridians? Feng Yuzi looked at Qinda's expression and couldn't help but sigh, Prince, I specifically went back to the sect to investigate the information for this matter. After finding nothing, I went to ask my several master uncles in the Yuaning period, and they were also helpless. I am also powerless about Xiaoyu and Xiaoshuan's matter. Upon hearing this, Qinda could only slowly sit down and let Lian Yen take Qin Yu and Qin Xian out to play. He sat at the stone table with his eyes blank, as if he had lost his soul. Half a day later, Qinda raised his head and his eyes turned slightly red. Brother Feng, is there really nothing I can do? Feng Yuzi shook his head as he looked at his iron-blooded and tough brother, his eyes turning red and he was about to cry. He comforted him, Prince, children and grandchildren have their own blessings. With us here, how can you or Xiener enjoy a lifetime of wealth and prosperity? This is not to disappoint the spirit of the Queen in heaven. Jingyi. Qinda heard the word, princess, lift his head and look at the sky, as if he had seen the gentlewoman in the sky. He couldn't help but feel resentful and growled in a low voice, gritting his teeth, Xiang family. I can't spare you. Qin brother. Feng Yuzi couldn't help but pat Qinda's shoulder with his expression on his shoulder, everything in silence. At the dinner party, in order to celebrate the return of Feng Yuzi, the Zhendong prince's mansion held a grand family banquet. Qin Duan, the Zhendong prince, took the lead, with Feng Yuzi on the left, Qin Yu, and Qin Xian, the two brothers. On the other side, Qin Feng, the eldest son of Qinda, sat, and behind was Qin Zheng, the second son of Qinda. I've figured it out. Since Yuer and Xiener both like the Yunwu mountain villa, let's send them all to Yunwu mountain villa. Let's record the villa under their names. Qinda sat at the top and said calmly, as if there was nothing important. Father, Xiaoyu, Xiaoxian is still so young. What's wrong with you? Qin Feng stood up excitedly and said. Big brother. Qin Zheng, who was good at planning, naturally knew that it was for Qin Yu. Qin Xuanhao reached out and pulled Qin Feng. Ah, that's okay, Feng Yuzi couldn't help but sigh as she looked at Qin Yu, who seemed to be having a lot of fun playing with him, and Qin Xian, who seemed to have fallen asleep. Qin Feng sat down dejectedly upon hearing these words and said, Can't we wait a moment? Wait for them. Qinda shook his head and said, I can't wait anymore. Even if we fail in the end, they won't be implicated. Ah. Ningcheng also glanced at Qin Yu, who was giggling foolishly over there, and sighed at the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com, as well as Qin Xian, who was sleeping. "Yuer, Xianer, come here," Qin summoned as he looked at the three expressionless people. "Father." Qin Yu pulled Qin Xian, who was lost in thought, up to Qin De. "Yuer, Xianer, do you like Yunwu Mountain Villa?" Qin Deqiang asked with a smile. "I like it. Ah, Xian also likes the hot springs inside very much, it's very comfortable." Qin Yu helped Qin Xian answer. "What about you, Yuer?" "Of course I also like it, the scenery there is very beautiful," Qin Yu said naively, unable to understand the complex expression on Qin De's face. Qin De smiled and said, okay, Yuer, since you like it, I'll give you Yunwu Mountain Villa. There are also 1,000 elite soldiers that will be under your management in the future. If you want anything, just tell your company grandpa and he will go there to take care of you." "Okay, great, wow, Yunwu Villa is mine now. I can soak in that hot spring every day, it's so comfortable." Qin Yu's face turned red with excitement. "Sure enough, you're the one who likes that hot spring. How could Xiao Xian possibly like that thing?" Qin De reached out and touched Qin Yu's hair, as if the corners of his eyes were slipping. The next morning, Qin Yu and Qin Xian were sent by Qin De to the carriage to Yunwu Mountain Villa. Looking at the carriage getting further and further away, Qin De reached out as if he wanted to catch something, but reluctantly put it down. "Prince." Feng Yuzi and the black-faced scholar Su Yuan stood beside Qin De and couldn't help but shout out. "No problem, let me go back with you." Qin De led the way into the palace, watching Qin De's somewhat unsteady figure. Feng Yuzi and Su Yuan also felt uneasy. After all, after this farewell, it will be difficult for the prince to bid farewell to the third prince and the fourth prince. Chapter 4. Yunwu Villa. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Yunwu Villa, as the name suggests, is naturally a scene of a fairy family shrouded in clouds and mist. Built on a high mountain of over 3,000 meters, the mountain seems to soar into the sky, and the villa on the mountaintop also seems to carry a bit of fairy aura from the clouds. 5 years later, at the age of 11, Qin Yu had already grown very tall, estimated to be around 1.6 meters according to the standards of Qin Xian's previous life. In addition, wearing a vest with a heavy load, the abdominal and chest muscles that were tightly bound by the vest had already taken on a somewhat heroic appearance. Since Qin Feng and Qin Zheng came once more than 3 years ago, Qin Yu's determination to help his father Wang achieve success and career has been strengthened. Therefore, Qin Yu chose to cultivate external skills. 3 years ago, one night after his elder brother left, Qin Yu picked up a strange water droplet-shaped gemstone on the mountaintop. It melted instantly upon purchase and turned into a stream of light that penetrated into his body. From then on, his physical recovery ability greatly improved. Originally, he wanted to talk to Qin Xian, but when he saw the empty expression on Qin Xian's face, which was not much different from his, he stopped talking. Qin Yu originally wanted to take Qin Xian to practice external skills together, and even Qin Yu's master Zhao Yunqing wanted to take Qin Xian on all his cultivation. However, Qin Xian seemed to have no interest in the word cultivation, either soaking in hot springs or lying on the mountaintop watching the stars all day. As if he had already given up on himself, Zhao Yunqing, Qin De, Qin Feng, Qin Zheng, and even Lian Yan, who had been taking care of them personally, seemed to feel that Qin Xian had given up on him. Only Qin Yu, who is twin with Qin Xian, seems to be able to feel the difference between him. Qin Xian seems to have a mysterious aura on his body, attracting him. Qin Xian was also very frustrated about this. He had already broken through the Xiantai realm 2 years ago, and now he has returned to his peak of slaying the Tao King, comparable to the 9 heavenly immortals. There seems to be no bottleneck in Qin Xian's construction to this day, even without any looting. It's just a smooth transition from 1 to 2. Breakthroughs are like drinking water, and Qin Xian seems to have this kind of doubt. He even speculates that the world is different, so without thunder looting, it wouldn't be possible. After all, the shading system and cultivation system he cultivates are not the same, just like two countries. If the shading system wants to be promoted, it must be carried out in the shading world, and the fate is also bestowed by the shading world. Qin Xian even suspected that he should be like a person from country A traveling to country B in this world. If you are struck by lightning, then the wanted person from country B will arrest the person from country A. How could this be possible? Of course, it cannot be ruled out that there is a possibility of joint law enforcement between the two countries. It is just that Qin Xian today is special. He is the soul of a different world, the martial arts of others, and the physical body of our own world. Although the physical body and soul perfectly match, the foreign world is still a foreign world. How to define which world this person belongs to? Is it using the soul that determines consciousness, or the physical body that executes activities, or the cultivation method that determines future achievements? So, Qin Xian became a person who ignored all three things, which also meant that Qin Xian was not qualified to obtain the position of the heavenly sovereign representing the realm of the quasi-immortal emperor in this world. Now that Qin Xian was stuck in this semi-holy realm, he was also particularly distressed. According to the realm division of this world, this realm should be called the half-step golden immortal. However, this world seems to refer to the realm after the heavenly immortal as the Great Luo Golden Immortal, abbreviated as the Golden Immortal. But in Qin Xian's consciousness, the Luo Jin Xian should be an eternal and free existence transcending all time and space. In fact, there is no clear distinction between the realm of Luntai and Dao Gong in the narration of the Tao Te Ching. In the description of the Tao Te Ching, there seem to be only two realms, one called below the Golden Immortal and the other called above the Golden Immortal. This Golden Immortal is not a realm like Star Transformation, where only its name does not reveal its spirit. It can be said that Golden Immortal is the highest realm in the immortal realm. Whether it's De Luo Jin Xian, Tai Yi Jin Xian, or even Hun Yuan Jin Xian, they are all in the realm of Jin Xian. They just walked too far on the road of Jin Xian. He and the Great Thousand Universe have proven their own way and formed their own fruit path fruit. In a sense, there is no distinction between Tai Yi, De Luo, or even Hun Yuan Dao fruit. However, the former is the unity of all heavens and all realms, while the latter transcends all heavens and all realms, and their fate is spread throughout all time and space. The latter is a complete body of Dao fruit, which cannot be entered, and can be called the end of the immortal path. So it's not easy to achieve the Golden Immortal either. The Golden Immortal claims to be immortal, with endless paths and immortality. The Golden Immortal in the Tao Te Ching is much more valuable than the Golden Immortal in the Star Transformation. According to the description in the Tao Te Ching, the so-called called Golden Immortal is probably the true immortal in Covering the Sky, and the heavenly god in Star Transformation. This realm is still far from Qin Xian, but it is obvious that the peak of the heavenly immortal half-step Golden Immortal is already the ultimate strength accommodated in the human world. To break through the Golden Immortal level, which is also the level of a sage, one must leave the mortal world and run to the realm of immortals, demons, and demons. Immortal, demon, and demon, this world doesn't even have thunder tribulations for him, let alone the ascending passage after thunder tribulations. Is it difficult for him to find a sect to threaten a Mahayana cultivator to steal someone else's ascending passage? This does not conform to his principle of following the heart. It is better to follow the heart in everything. If possible, he will hide in his brother's Jianglan realm and sneak into the immortal realm. Find the book Garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com for perfection. I made up my mind and looked at the old man standing next to me. Third brother, why are you here? A lazy voice rang in Qin Yu's ear. Ah, your brother and I have broken through the innate external skill. Qin Yucai broke free from the mysterious power around Qin Xian's body. Oh. Congratulations was still a lazy voice, as if there were no emotional fluctuations. Ah Xian, why don't you also practice external skills? With my innate external skills here, Yunwu earnestly advised. No, it's good for me to be like this. What's wrong with having you all in my prosperous life? Xuan sternly refused. This is not the first time Yunwu has advised Xian, but unfortunately in this regard, Xian is like a stinky stone, really refusing to enter. Speaking of which, third brother, you have broken through your innate limitations. Are you going down the mountain now? Xian knew about his family's affairs and dared to guarantee that the power of fate would be closely watching him. As long as he made any move, he would definitely kick him out. It's time for Yunwu to come down the mountain. After all, Yunwu has innate external skills, but his combat ability is far inferior to Xian. Even with the protagonist's aura bonus, it's estimated that Yunwu's current strength will be on par with that of an old and frail innate strong person like Lien Yen. Not bad, I want to go down the mountain to hone myself, Yunwu nodded firmly. Well, then I'll be the only one left in this villa, so I'll be so carefree. Xian sighed and lay down in the hot spring before falling asleep again. Wait for Xian to fall asleep and don't forget to take him back. It's not good to soak in this hot spring for a long time. Yunwu looked at Xian, who was asleep, shook his head and ordered him to leave. Chapter 5. Leisure Travel. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. De Co Lois Ara Trong Quatrin Lay Text. Chapter 6. The Beginning of the Manghuang Era. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Xian was ruthless and stomped his foot to choose Manghuang Ji. From the heart is not cowardice, cowardice can never prove the way, only from the heart can the way be proven. Xian felt as if he had entered a mysterious world, with the five-colored radiance flowing non-stop. Xian felt as if he had entered an incredible realm, with many mysterious and profound paths of time and space constantly running around him. Suddenly, a sound of shattering came from the five-colored radiance, which dissipated and Xian fell into a wilderness. Rock Fire Lizard. A young man who looked only 11 or 12 years old wrapped in animal skin ran wildly in this wilderness, holding an iron sword in his hand, chasing a huge red-skin lizard. The combination of man and sword. The young man, holding a long sword in his hand, seemed to have entered an extremely mysterious state. His figure flickered, and he followed the red-skinned lizard with mysterious steps. The red-skinned lizard, seeing that it couldn't run away, cruelly opened its mouth and spat out a ball of magma. Unfortunately, the boy dodged it and the magma fell to the ground, igniting the wild grass with a loud bang. The young man stabbed the red-skinned lizard in the eye with a sword, and the long sword pierced through the lizard's eye and pierced out from the back of its head. The lizard fell to the ground without moving. This is a good thing. I heard that this rock fire lizard still has a trace of true dragon blood. Although its meat is not delicious, its true scale armor is enough to refine a few soft armor pieces that can resist innate strength. It's time to go back and have Dad find someone to make them. The young man reached out and grabbed one of the lizard's legs, lifting it up from the ground. Oh, when did this person appear? After lifting the lizard, the boy realized that there was actually a person underneath it, and the strangest thing was that this person was wearing silk. Since arriving in this wild world, Ji Ning has not seen silk with such good workmanship for more than a decade. This silk is by no means machine-made. Looking at the texture, and quality, it is not just a matter of texture. The rock fire lizard is named rock fire because the flames it exhales contain a hint of dragon breath, and most importantly, its skin temperature is extremely high. Even those born strong can get scalded if they don't pay attention, making them one of the strongest species under heaven. However, the silk on this person's body surprisingly did not have any burns, and coupled with the fact that this person looks about the same size as him, his whole body is white and pure, and there are no calluses on his hands for practicing swordsmanship, it naturally indicates that this person comes from an extraordinary background and is definitely not from these tribes. Ji Ning, after all, comes from modern times. Although modern society may not be as powerful as this wild world in terms of extraordinary power, technological civilization is superior to this wild world. However, it seems that with the cultivation of immortality, one can live forever, enjoy a leisurely life, and who would go to waste those technological civilizations? Ji Ning looked at the fainting, big fat sheep and saw that there were no scars on its body. At first glance, she knew it was not a grudge, but rather a faint from some medicine. "Young master, your swordsmanship is getting better and better." A maid wearing animal skin clothes caught up at this moment. "Oh, young master actually killed this rock fire lizard that is similar to an 8. It seems that young master is not far from an 8. Congratulations, young master." "Well, come on, Chun Chao. Don't praise him. Come over and see what's wrong with this person." Ji Ning felt a bit shy when praised. Why is there another person here?" Another maid, Juya, also caught up. "His clothes are so beautiful. I have only seen them on big shots from the city." Qin Xian and Qin Yu, although not living in the Zhendong prince's mansion, are also the young princes of the Zhendong prince's mansion. Every year, the Zhendong prince's mansion sends someone to come and customize clothes for the two of them. Not only is the material used carefully, but in order to ensure the personal safety of the third and fourth princes who have no power to bind chickens, almost all of their clothes are painted with runes at a high price. Ordinary innate experts cannot break the defense of their clothes without using spiritual weapons. "You too can move him back with me later." Ji Shi may have gone further because of him. Ji Ning shook his head and said. "Going further." The two maids, Chun Chao and Juya, glanced at each other and lowered their heads without daring to speak. Ji Ning pulled his sword out of the lizard's eye, remained calm and composed, using superb swordsmanship techniques to quickly divide and skin the rock fire lizard, leaving only a pile of red skeletons. When Qin Xian woke up, he realized that he was lying on a stone bed. To be honest, he had never slept on a stone even in his lowest moments. Although the stone bed was dug out by a sword from a large rock and covered with animal skins, it could not compare to the soft bed customized by the Zhendong prince's mansion for Yunwu mountain villa, let alone the warm jade bed in the Shaguang Holy Land that can increase cultivation speed. Qin Xian stretched lazily and felt the difference between this world and the world in Star Transformation, when his spiritual consciousness was released. The great way of this world is actually listed below the heavenly way, and the realm and combat power of cultivation are actually proportional to the number of people who practice the heavenly way themselves. What a terrifying thing this is. In the world of stars, the strongest one is the Tao, the heavenly Tao. Well, the heavenly Tao in the world of stars is Lin Meng, and understanding the heavenly Tao is understanding Lin Meng. If you want to learn the Hongjun Tao ancestral harmony Tao, this scene is too beautiful to imagine. However, since we have entered the world of Manghuang Ji, we always need to bring back some local specialties, such as the unique laws of the heavenly way in this world. Qin Xian smiled at the corners of his mouth and whispered, "I don't know what's different between this heavenly way and the great way." Qin Xian would never think that with the qualification of only 15 years in his life to be comparable to the cultivation of the golden immortal in the star world immortal realm, he would not be able to comprehend the heavenly way. After all, even in the incomplete world of the heavenly way, he could become the king of slaying the way, let alone in this world that appears to be a perfect way of the heavenly way. Of course, the main problem is that the suppression of this world on him is almost zero. However, upon reflection, it is also true that the levels of the wilderness world and the star world are similar, and they both originate from the same source. Although the controllers of these worlds may not know, there may still be some differences in the consciousness of the world's origin. Qin Xian suddenly felt that he had chosen a good place. As long as he could show his strength, he still had a strong desire to save his life in this world. It is not incomprehensible that his current treatment in Manghuang is good. After all, when you think about it, people from country A immigrated to country B and obtained the nationality of country B. Although they are not favored in country B, traveling to country C, which has good relations with country B, can still enjoy the benefits that country C should have for its people. After all, he has traveled to the Holy Land in the world of, covering the sky, to admire the list of gods refined by Emperor Wuxia. Everyone knows who else is on the list of gods besides the immortal Taoist. However, Xingzi Mi is a method of crossing the void in space shuttle, which is only applicable in the incomplete 9 heavens and 10 earths of the Great Tao. In the starry world, there are clear regulations, and only the Divine King can control the spatial rules. This also means that the star world has raised its bottom line for spatial rules very high. The consumption is also much greater. How could Qin Xian, who was already under the pressure of the star world, run and touch the taboos that should not be touched? However, the wilderness world is much better. Those ancestors of the golden immortal Tao controlled the heavenly way and understood the divine powers. This Xingzi secret can be used as a divine power, and Qin Xian's life is also guaranteed. Has your guest woken up? A soft female voice outside the door asked softly, as if hearing the commotion inside. Do you need some water? Chapter 7. Crossing Robbery. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. In the main hall of the Jishir West Mansion, Ji Xuan sat in the first seat below the main seat. Across from him were many elders of the Jishir West Mansion who were worshipped. The top seat was the contemporary head of the mansion, Ji Yuyang, who was also Ji Ning's great-grandfather. Everyone looked at the rock fire lizard skin on the ground, and the atmosphere in the entire hall became cold. If it weren't for Ninger, I wouldn't have known that there was a rock fire lizard in the territory of my Ji family's western mansion that was comparable to an innate one. Ji Yuyang sat in the main seat, his tone somewhat angry. It's our dereliction of duty. Many elders stood up and apologized to Ji Yuyang. If we don't investigate, it's our fault. Fortunately, young Master Ji Ning has profound skills and can even exterminate this innate animal. As expected, Tiger Father has no sons. Xuan cultivation is the first person in the Western Prefecture, and young Master Ji Ning's talent is also in junior high school. Now he may not be far from innate, but at the age of 10, his cultivation is about to break through innate, and his future achievements are limitless. This is also true. In this wild land outside the city, not to mention the innate ability, even if the peak of the later days can be defended by the central young, the innate ability can already establish a small tribe on their own. The Purple Mansion realm can be called the ancestor, all of whom are experts who see the head but not the tail. Ji Ning was already about to break through the innate realm before the age of 10, which proves that his potential was at its lowest in the Purple Mansion. If he had the chance to break through the immortal realm of Wanxiang, his Ji mansion would have been able to roam this wilderness for hundreds of years. As soon as someone praised Ji Ning, Ji Yichuan remained silent. Ji Yuyang nodded and his already small anger dissipated. It's not your fault. Although there are not many innate beings in this Western mansion, there are also many. Under the pressure of many innate factors, who would have thought this beast would dare to come to our Western mansion? The Lord of the mansion is right, but one thing is that this rock fire lizard prefers a dry environment near volcanoes. Our area is close to Dongshan's, and the water vapor is extremely heavy nearby. How could it come here for no reason? Asked the elder of the West Mansion, stroking his beard and wondering. Hiss. Ji Yuyang took a cold breath upon hearing this. Although this rock fire lizard has a violent temperament, its territorial consciousness is extremely high. Generally speaking, they will not leave the volcano without reason. Moreover, although Ji's Western Mansion cannot be called a wetland, it is also rich in water resources. Even if the rock fire lizard is migrating, it should go to the dry environment of the desert. Running to this place, someone wouldn't have brought them here to cause trouble for their Western Mansion, would they? The elders worshipped below looked at each other and understood their own calculations. How could Ji Yuyang, sitting upright on the throne, not be able to see? Since Ji Ning won the golden sword in the trial, the atmosphere in the entire Western Mansion has become increasingly strange. Although he is strong, he cannot control people's hearts. Although Ji Yichuan has strength, he was injured earlier. Although he is the first person in the Western Mansion, he does not want to be trapped in the position of the Mansion Lord because he is focused on cultivating immortals and seeking enlightenment. Ji Lai, who had the intention to take this position, did not have enough strength, and his brain was not very useful. He dared to offend the strongest person in the Western Mansion, Ji Yichuan. Ji Yichuan is likely to be an ancestor-level figure of the Ji family in the future, and his trump card has a bad relationship with the head of the family. How can he do it? Forget it, I'll leave Ji Lai's matter to you. Go investigate carefully and see who has been thinking about me, Ji Shi. Ji Yuyang was about to hand over the task to Ji Yichuan when he saw him close his eyes, as if he had fallen asleep. Yes, Lord. Ji Lai bowed to Ji Yuyang and received the order. Speaking of which, Yichuan, did the young master who Ning'e rescued wake up? Ji Yuyang asked Ji Yichuan. Not yet, but according to the doctor's statement, it should be these 2 days. Ji Yichuan shook his head. Have you found out his identity? Asked the elder who took action, Ji Yichuan. No, I don't think it's from here. The clothes are luxurious, and even in the summer capital, there aren't many. Moreover, I don't have a cocoon for training weapons in my hands, and my body is white and tender. I guess my identity is extraordinary. Ji Yichuan replied when he heard Ji Youyang's question. Just let me know when he wakes up, let's go, let's go. Ji Youyang waved his hand and walked out of the hall. As soon as Ji Youyang left the main hall, there were many elders in the entire hall discussing the worship. Just as the debate reached its peak, Ji Yichuan suddenly stood up. The discussion among the many elders suddenly came to an end, and they watched as Ji Yichuan slowly left. They watched as Ji Yichuan walked out of the main hall before continuing the discussion. On the other side, Ji Ning was practicing swordsmanship when he suddenly heard a maid come to report that the guest he had picked up had already woken up. He hastily threw down his iron sword and walked towards the guest room. At this moment, Qin Xian was sitting on the bed, staring at the roof of the stone house, somewhat stunned. This journey through time and space, as Qin Xian was awake, he felt many laws of time and space in the passage of time and space. The most mysterious way of time and space, which is claimed to be among the many laws of the heavens and the world, is enough to further Qin Xian's path, even with just a few feelings. What is Qin Xian's current state further? Sage. Equivalent to the realm of immortals in the world of Manghuang, whether it is the world of covering the heavens or the world of Manghuang, whether it is becoming a saint or achieving immortality, it is necessary to cross the calamity. Even if the origin of the world in the Manghuang era gives face to the origin of the star transformation world, the selectivity issue of the Chengxian Du Jia will never change. Now that Qin Xian is only a little over 10 years old, he has become a celestial being. Not to mention anything else, looking for a book garden on www.zhaoshuyuan.com is definitely the last best in terms of qualifications. In addition, with the accumulation of nearly 3 lifetimes in his past and present life, his soul foundation is definitely not very low. According to this standard, Qin Xian's heavenly calamity must be the strongest wave in any world. In the dark, a certain intangible and formless supreme existence revealed to him the time and scale of crossing the tribulation, which gave Qin Xian a sense and could be considered as a benefit. Qin Xian's heart is now filled with plants, revealing the time and scale of the disaster. Qin Xian was deeply moved. Of course, if it weren't for the time of the disaster, it would have been this afternoon, and the number of disasters would have been the standard 9 thunder disasters, if it weren't for the ancient Taoist ancestors and true divine projections. Although the golden immortal Taoist ancestor in this world is not much different from the true God in terms of mana quality, in fact, the golden immortal Taoist ancestor is definitely beyond the true God in terms of the essence of life. Nowadays, the relationship between the heavenly Tao and the great Tao has reversed, and practicing Qigong is at a lower level. Its combat power is not comparable to that of divine and demon body training techniques. However, if we really talk about it, the true divine realm can only have the power to fight against the golden immortal Daozu. You can fight the great emperor with the great Eucharist, but it's just a battle. Which great emperor did you see being killed by a single great Eucharist? Sigh. Qin Xian almost collapsed on the stone bed, feeling a bit flustered. To be honest, he was really a bit afraid of this thunder calamity. Those golden immortal Daozu, the true God projection, were no worse than the great emperor projection. This kind of treatment is usually given to those demonic Tianjiao. When did the master of salted fish, who cultivates from the heart, also receive the treatment of a young emperor like him? At this time, Qin Xian had no idea that except for those who were born in chaotic or innate holy bodies, whose great emperor would become a saint at the age of 11. In a sense, Qin Xian's qualifications are a bit terrifying. Chapter 8. Ji Ningcheng's Innocence. You are listening at novelfull.audio. When Ji Ning came in, he saw this scene that was very familiar to him in his past life. Qin collapsed on a stone bed, emitting a strong smell of salted fish. It's really a salty fish smell. Even standing at the door, Ji Ning felt the salty smell on his body. There was a thought in his heart that he should just forget it, let's just get by. Many lazy and hesitant emotions swept through Ji Ning's heart, and his own state became increasingly lazy. The Tao heart and sword heart, which had only been cultivated for many years, slowly decayed under this emotion. This is not surprising, after all, although Qin Xian has not crossed the tribulation, he is still a righteous sage level and a heavenly immortal level powerhouse. Not only the heavenly immortals of the Manghuang era, but even the highest intermediate level worlds in the various heavens and realms are transcendent beings that can be called immortals, with endless longevity and endless magical powers. Although in the Tao Te Ching, cultivation is divided into two realms. One below the golden immortal, one above the golden immortal, or in other words, one that cannot last long, one that is immortal, and the eternal. In fact, this is only the view of the author of the Tao Te Ching, the sage of Tai Ching who can be called the supreme existence in all heavens and realms. The common view throughout the entire heavens and realms is to transform cultivation into four realms, from mortal to transcendent, then to eternal life, and finally to immortality. According to the saying of Manghuang, it is immortal, cultivators, immortals, and saints. With Qin Xian's cultivation level, he can be called a fairy in most of the world with a vast background, and even a saint in a world with a mysterious realm name like the sky-covering world. Even in the world of obscurity, Yi He himself had seen an old madman saint in the early days, who had cut off a leader-level figure with one strand of his hair. The blessings of many famous figures such as immortals and immortals in this realm are enough to demonstrate the extraordinary qualities of this realm. Qin Xian himself practiced the way of the heart, which was not too far from the way of salted fish. Now, Qin Xian is immersed in the realm of salted fish, and his whole body is naturally filled with the charm of salted fish. It's not surprising that Ji Ning, who hasn't even reached the innate or extraordinary realm yet, has had an impact. Ha! Qin Xian lazily turned around and looked at Ji Ning at the door, praising him in his heart. Sure enough, no matter what kind of world it is, the protagonists of this world do not rely solely on the blessings of the supreme fate in the dark to succeed. They still have shining points. For example, the young man in front of me seems to be about the same age as myself in this life, but in fact, he is also about the same age. With his strength that is not yet in his innate realm, he unexpectedly broke through the Dao Yun of this heavenly immortal level on his body. You're good, Qin Xian praised, saying, the firmness of Dao's heart is surprising. Ji Ning, who exuded an astonishing aura, did not reply to Qin Xian. Instead, he lay cross-legged on the ground, surrounded by the rolling spiritual energy. The sun in the sky seemed to have brightened a lot, and under the light of the sun, a bright moon flashed by, and two forces fell from the sky into Ji Ning's body. This is not the power of the sun and Taiyin stars in this world of summer, but the Taiyin star, which was transformed by the left and right eyes of Pangu, the great god who shattered the chaos and opened up the floodplain, during the three realms of the Manghuang period when they were still in the wilderness. It is also the origin of many small worlds in these three realms, the primordial sun and the primordial yin. Beside Ji Ning, a golden divine bird with 3 legs transformed by the power of the sun hovers around, and a jade-white fairy rabbit transformed by the power of the sun runs around Ji Ning. The former is above, representing the sky as yang, while the latter is below, representing the earth as yin. 2 lotus virtual shadows composed of the power of the Taiyin sun hovered over Ji Ning, while the divine bird in the sky dived downwards and the immortal rabbit on the ground leaped forward. The two collided in the air and transformed into the most fundamental force of yin and yang, merging but not matching. It is precisely the creator of this red bright 9 heavens map, the character of the golden immortal Daozu level, red bright Daozu, who created the fusion of yin and yang forces into the chaotic power of the ancient times, when the Hongmeng was not judged. However, the power of chaos flashed by and transformed into a Tai Chi diagram, imprinting symbols of innate beings on Ji Ning's body. The Taiyin divine pattern and the sun divine pattern. In any world of the heavens and realms, the power of chaos can only be divided into 2 types. Yin and yang. Perhaps it manifests as good and evil, order and chaos, light and darkness, or ultimately, it is impossible to escape the intersection of yin and yang, and the sage of Tai Ching is in charge of the Tai Chi diagram, which is considered the most precious among all the heavens and realms. His own understanding of yin and yang is also considered the highest in all heavens. How could the Tao Te Ching he created not have his fundamental path of yin and yang? If ordinary people saw the scene around Ji Ning, they would probably just be amazed. Only when he reached the realm of immortality and practiced the Tao Te Ching, which was personally created by the Tai Ching sage who majored in yin and yang, Qin Xian saw a deeper meaning. He threw over the first layer and saw the third layer. The first layer is the mystical fusion of Taiyin true water and sun true fire in the vision of Ji Ning achieving innate beings. The second layer is about the achievements of Chiming Daozu, who created the Chiming 9 heavens map, on the yin-yang avenue. If there is a presence above all phenomena in the book garden www.zhaozuiyuan.com, you may see a hint of the golden immortal way. The third layer is the transmission of the power of yin and yang after the creation god Pangu opened up chaos in this world. This is the most fundamental core of the 3 realms, which cannot be easily recognized by non-golden immortal Daozu. However, Qin Xian saw it and realized that his breath was flowing, and a sword energy that wanted to balance yin and yang burst out, exposing Qin Xian's heel. From the way of the heart, the way of the sword heart. Qin Xian, who has always claimed to be a Taoist, is actually a sword cultivator. At the moment when the sword energy broke through his body, the consciousness of the world captured Qin Xian's insights on swordsmanship and lowered the power of swordsmanship. As a result, Qin Xian obtained the Tao and one of the highest Tao in this world, Kendo. So Qin Xian also gained fame in his own world, practicing a good Taoist, Dharma, and even alchemy to become a sword cultivator. With the help of Qin Xian's sword energy that broke through his body, the weakened yin and yang power on Ji Ning's body erupted again, and the true water of the Tai Yin and the true fire of the sun continued to flow and blend on Ji Ning's body. The sword energy, which was also transformed by the power of yin and yang, triggered the movement of power on Ji Ning's body, and a fusion of yin and yang forces formed the chaotic sword energy that fell into Ji Ning's body. Congratulations, Ji Ning's future path has changed from being able to choose sword cultivation to only being able to choose sword cultivation. Similarly, congratulations, Ji Ning has also developed a chaotic sword energy, which has greatly facilitated his future chaotic sword cultivation. Equally commendable is that Qin Xian discovered that his heavenly calamity had increased by another level. Previously, the number of calamities given to him was 9 heavenly calamities, surrounded by the projection of the 9 young golden immortals and the true gods. Now there are 9 golden immortals, surrounded by the projection of the true gods, missing the word youth, and the difference is not enough for outsiders. Chapter 9. Apprenticeship. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ji Ning slowly opened her eyes and felt the power filling her body. She was overjoyed, but at the age of 11, she had broken through her innate realm. He has the potential to become an immortal. Ji Ning's heart was high, and as soon as he looked up, he saw a cold face with a pair of dead fish eyes hanging on it. You're awake. A cold voice appeared in Ji Ning's ear, and he jumped up in fear. It was only then that Ji Ning realized that the person who was looking at him with an extremely eerie gaze was the young man he had picked up. Brother, you're awake. Ji Ning didn't know what he wanted to say, but was anxious and wanted to leave here quickly. Wake up, you also woke up. You finally woke up. Unexpectedly, you were influenced by me and broke through your innate nature, forming a causal relationship with me. Come on, be good, let uncle. Your cultivation be ruined. Now is not the time for you to break through your innate nature. Qin Xian stood up shakily and rushed towards Ji Ning. You. Ji Ning suddenly remembered the reason for her breakthrough, feeling the flow of swordsmanship within her body in the similar aura she felt on this young man. Her thoughts suddenly cleared up, and she recited 3,600 times before Qin Xian could pounce. She knelt down and said, Disciple Ji Ning pays respects to the master. The 3 bangs of bang 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 knocked down cleanly, and this set of movements went from thinking to kneeling, and then kowtowing with divine assistance, taking even faster time than Qin Xian's burst of celestial power rushing over. The distance between the two was only 10 meters, and in Qin Xian's eyes, it was as close as 10,000 meters. When Qin Xian realized it, the will of the heavenly Tao in the Manghuang Ji world even recognized their master-disciple relationship. As long as both sides don't want to cut off the relationship, he couldn't even unilaterally expel Ji Ning from the sect. This is the forced buying and selling of the Manghuang Ji world heavenly Tao. Looking at the young man kneeling down in front of him, Qin Xian, who also looked like a young man, had a pale face and no tears in his eyes. What's going on? He became the master of the protagonist, and how could he continue to struggle even after being in contact with him? After the endless river of time and space, a young man in black wearing a divine sword smiled and said, I didn't expect it to be me, ha ha ha. The young man was laughing when his heart suddenly moved. A black brick burst into the air, and 70.2 colors of divine fire were still burning on it. The void appeared slightly distorted under the burning of this divine fire. The young man in black was about to draw his sword when he saw the brick suddenly disappear. When it reappeared, it directly hit his face. The young man in black was slapped into the river of time and space with this brick, causing huge waves in the river. As he waited for the young man in black to climb out of the river of time and space, a red rectangular mark fell on his handsome face, and his strength could not be restored. Master. The young man let out a mournful cry and heard a voice coming from the depths of the earth. Bring back the 70.2 colored holy Yuan sparks from my divine furnace. The young man in the black robe, with his face down, took the black brick burning with 70.2 colors of divine fire and stepped into a void crack, disappearing without a trace. As soon as the young man disappeared, another black-robed young man appeared with a big iron tooth on his back. Master, are you so powerful? It's so terrifying. Even the senior brother can't bear it. What should I do? Master won't just throw his divine furnace at him when the time comes. As a professional alchemist, I can't possibly compare my physical condition to that of the senior brother's sword practitioner. I still have to sum up. As he spoke, the young man in the black robe crossed a spatial crack and left the space. Waiting for the young man in the black robe to leave, one supreme existence after another seemed to have agreed, appearing in order from this space and then leaving. Turning to Qin Xian's side, this is not the original will of the world in the Great Xia world, nor the original will of the three realms after the fragmentation of the wilderness. This is the original will of the world in the Manghuang era, which originally contained the world of all heavens and all realms. The three realms are on the edge of a chaotic universe, and there are 9 chaotic universes in the Manghuang period. Every chaotic universe can have a chaotic universe controller, which is no less powerful than the Hongmeng controller. These are all the existence of the sage rank, 9 sages. Even in the vast world of all heavens and realms, it can be called a majestic world. As long as another strong Taoist realm emerges, it can be on par with the wilderness in essence. This world is no longer much weaker than the newly opened floodplain. You should know that there were only 9 saints and 3,000 mixed Yuan Taoist fruits in the floodplain at that time. The relationship between the sage and the Hunyuan Daogua is somewhat similar to the relationship between the controller of the chaotic universe and the supreme, as well as the relationship between the first-level Hongmeng controller and the ordinary Hongmeng controller. The difference is said to be large or small, and it is both mysterious and wonderful. As for Manghuang Ji, there are also many supreme powerhouses, which are just a few mixed elemental powerhouses. Let's not say it. However, overall, this also means that Qin Xian, who has just broken through the fairyland, how could he possibly go against the world's original will that has the potential to develop into a world of the same level as the wilderness? Sigh. Qin Xian sat slumped on the ground, his face as pale as ashes. To be honest, in many of Tomato's novels, the relationship between master and disciple is not much. Master is like clothes, and when his figure changes, he changes to a new one. He has established a master-disciple relationship with the protagonist, my goodness. Besides causing him endless trouble, what else can Zhaozuiyuan.com bring to him? Qi Yun. Does he need it? Even if the protagonist brings a lot of luck, he dare not accept it. The protagonist's luck carries a sense of calamity, and the great calamity is the great fortune. There is no major calamity. What kind of protagonist is needed? He doesn't want to enter the calamity from the way of his heart, just like he didn't find his third brother Qin Yu's future fortune map and star transformation. Taking these protagonist opportunities, if his luck is not enough, he will be robbed. Just like just now, he just helped Ji Ning break through his innate nature, and his sword cultivation essence was exposed in the back foot. Jingxian Daozu, the projection of the true gods, he is really full of fragrance. Watching Qin Xian remain motionless for a long time, Ji Ning looked up and saw his master sitting on the ground, like a salted fish that had lost its dream. Master. Don't call me that, stay away from me. It was like seeing a rogue girl named Huang Hua. If it weren't for Qin Xian's profound cultivation and firm moral character, it would have been a matter of saving face. Qin Xian would have screamed long ago. A heavenly immortal screamed with all his might, the entire Jishur West mansion is unlikely to have any living creature surviving. Okay. Looking at his master's terrified expression, Ji Ning stood up and stepped back, feeling wavering in his heart about the decision to apprentice. The apprentice didn't want to apprentice anymore, so his luck naturally wavered. He felt a change in his own luck, and Qin Xian's eyes suddenly showed signs of vitality. He quickly stood up and crossed over 10 meters in one step. Do you want to break the master-apprentice relationship? I can. This surprised expression stunned Ji Ning, his mind was being seen through. This. What kind of existence is this? It's the Wanxiang true man returning to the void earth. Immortal may not necessarily be able to see through the thoughts of others. This master is right. Qin Xian felt that. Chapter 10. During the crossing of Robbery. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The originally shaky aura suddenly stabilized, and Qin Xian's face changed. Why don't you break the relationship? No, let's break it with me. I really don't know anything, I can't teach you anything. Let's break it. Ji Ning's eyes lit up upon hearing this, and indeed he could see through people's hearts. This master is right. Qin Xian's face changed, and he suddenly realized that his luck was blending with Ji Ning's luck faster and faster. He meowed with the consolidation of his qi, only the slightest hint of calamity that he could feel rushed into his qi, and his heavenly calamity was advanced by half an hour. Ji Ning looked at the young man in front of him and his face changed. He quickly disappeared and said, "Wait for me, kid. I have an urgent matter. I'll tell you when I come back." Qin Xian stepped out and didn't enter the void. He casually found an open small mountain ditch, and with a wave of his sleeves, many things gushed out from the cuffs. Four bronze tripods, over 10 meters high, stood on all sides of the mountain, with an iron rod almost 20 meters high in the middle of the tripod. 28 small flags were transformed into flags that were more than 1 person tall, arranged around Qin Xian according to the arrangement of the 20.8 constellations. That's not all, the scattered precious jade and spirit stones turned into a long river and laid out one formation after another near the valley. In no time, the entire mountain valley, with small hills on all sides, was surrounded by formations, layer after layer, almost reaching 4 digits. These formations are here, not to mention the heavenly immortals, even the pure young immortals are here. Don't even think about going out. Terrifying, truly terrifying. These were all planned by Qin Xian to be set up in the cave during the seclusion of this world. Who would have thought they would be used to cross the tribulation? Qin Xian tied his last handprint in his hand, and layers of spiritual shields formed by formations protected him in the middle. Qin Xian looked up at the sky and whispered softly, "Here we are." Suddenly, the wind and clouds surged in the sky, and layers of black clouds enveloped a 100-mile area near this mountain ditch. Fortunately, Qin Xian chose this place without anyone, otherwise there might have been many people watching. In the Great Xia Palace, the emperor opened his eyes and seemed to feel a strange movement, connected to the qi of the Great Xia dynasty. A golden qi dragon opened its eyes and looked into the distance. Is this a heavenly calamity? The Xia emperor looked at the black calamity clouds in the sky, and even he was shocked by the power hidden in those clouds. He dared to conclude that this calamity would be even more difficult to overcome with his pure young true immortal realm. Many celestial ancestors in the Great Xia world also opened their eyes to look at the place where the Black Jayan was located, layer after layer of formations blinded their eyes. It's cold now, this Taoist friend is cold now. Many celestial beings were chatting in the void, not optimistic about Qin Xuandu's heavenly calamity. Qin Xian naturally couldn't help but feel those innocent and even immortal divine senses, it's just that he doesn't have the time to deal with the calamity now. Boom boom. A terrifying thunderbolt descended from the sky, transforming into a thunder dragon and charging towards Qin Xian. Qin Xian calmly made a handprint and said, "Urgency is like a law." The 4 large cauldrons on the 4 sides of the mountain suddenly lit up, and the iron pillar in the middle of the cauldron emitted a spiritual light that intersected above Qin Xian's head, coming into contact with the thunder dragon. Surprisingly, the thunder dragon transformed into 4 lightning beams and fell into the cauldron along with the spiritual light. The 4 bronze cauldrons were shining brightly, and the thunder light turned into a pool of blue-purple liquid in the cauldron. Many immortals were stunned and said, "What kind of treasure is this?" It's true that I spent a lot of money to dig up the spiritual copper from the Qingyuan star next door before leaving, and the alchemy made from the Tai Shang Dan Jing is really useful. Qin Xian watched as thunderbolts transformed into lightning liquid in the copper cauldron along with the spiritual light, feeling extremely excited. This lightning liquid was transformed by the divine thunder of the heavenly calamity, containing heavenly power. Whether it was alchemy refining, or body refining in self-defense, it had wonderful effects. After 81 thunderbolts fell, Thunderbolt only retreated, and the black clouds in the sky finally dissipated into a layer of purple clouds. After only half an hour of thunder, a red light rose from the black clouds in the sky, and a crimson divine fire descended from the sky. Is the sun really hot? Many celestial beings exclaimed in surprise. This is the true fire of the sun. At that time, what was on Ji Ning's body was just the shadow of the true fire condensed by the power of the sun. Its power was far less than 100 billion times that of the true fire of the sun, and the purpose of troubling the true fire was to help Ji Ning forge his body. The meaning of these true suns and fires is heavenly calamity, and similarly, these true suns and fires also contain heavenly power. Qin Xian's eyes lit up as he looked at these true flames. He had previously relied on the Samadhi true fire, which was stirred up by his magical power in his 9 profound hearth furnace. Although its power was extraordinary, it was also a fire that was acquired. Although he knows the 2 Itsuewe divine fire, due to his low level, he cannot sustain it for too long. It will take several months to refine the pills he needs, and he cannot bear the 2 Itsuewe divine fire. Although this sun true fire is not the innate sun true fire at the center of the 3-realm source sun star, it is also a rare treasure in the afterlife. In addition, it contains heavenly power, and alchemy tools are also infinitely useful. Qin Xian held his hands together, as if something was flickering. In no time, a huge turtle shell appeared in Qin Xian's hand, with a huge volcano on top of it. This is the shell of the 9 heavenly mysterious turtle. Looking for the book garden www.zhaoxuyuan.com, the 9 heavenly mysterious turtle is a wild and exotic species. It is naturally huge. The ancestor of the North Sea mysterious turtle sacrificed himself to support the sky, and received the favor of the heavenly Tao, descending merit. He transformed into the 9 heavenly mysterious turtle and became the ancestor of the 9 heavenly mysterious turtle. Now, he is the pinnacle of the quasi-holy peak and the ultimate strength of the half-step mixed Yuan Dao fruit. The 9 heavens mysterious turtle lives in the 9 heavens cloud sea, supported by 9 large volcanoes behind it, known as the 9 heavens mysterious furnace. Each realm opens a mysterious furnace, and when all 9 mysterious hearts are fully opened, it ranks among the great Luo. Until the 9 mysterious hearts merge, it becomes the quasi-holy realm. The 9 heavens furnace of Qin Xian, introduced in the Xiaoyao system, is a shortcut that the 9 heavens mysterious turtle, who exists as a golden immortal, wants to take. Before the 9 hearts are opened, they must be combined into one. As a result, he became demonized and turned into flying ash, leaving only this turtle shell. Later, this turtle shell was obtained by Laozi, one of the incarnations of the Taiching sage, during his journey to the west, and he casually practiced making Laozi's elixir for 100 years. When Laozi's merit was fully realized and he transformed into the Tai Shang Lao Jun, he switched to using the innate spirit treasure Bagua stove. This 9 heavenly stove was also abandoned, until the Tai Shang Lao Jun sat down and the Qin Nyo entered the world, blocking his journey westward, and was led into the mortal world by the Qin Nyo spirit. This thing was just remembered by Lao Jun and sent to this system as a reward. However, it was produced by Laozi. Rounding it down is Lao Jun's product, and rounding it down again is Taiching Saint's product. The potential of this thing is not low at all, after all, it is a turtle shell of the golden immortal level. If it weren't for the lack of magical power of Laozi, who was still immortal at that time, how could this turtle shell become a top-notch acquired spiritual treasure? But later on, the old gentleman had many treasures, so this thing was sent to the treasure trove and fell into ashes. No one remembered to practice it again. After Qin Xian obtained it, he continued to use these 9 heavenly hearts to refine pills and nourish them with the power of the pills, hoping that one day these 9 heavenly hearts could reach the level of the postnatal spiritual treasure.